Run away now. As I opened the front door, a familiar female delivery person with a pale face said. She then suddenly grabbed my arm and dragged me out of the house. Confused by the sudden turn of events, the woman, while mindful of someone inside the house, whispered something alarming to me. Shocked and scared by this revelation, I thought, I absolutely won't lose here. I clenched my trembling hands and immediately rushed to the police station. My name is Tracy Manning, 29 years old. I live in a small apartment with my husband, Chris, who is a year older than me. We met at work, and I was attracted to his earnest demeanor. I pursued him vigorously. Although he was initially aloof, we gradually grew closer and married after a year of dating. Chris has a sister with bad behavior who ran away from home and hasn't been heard from since. Our relationship with the in-laws is neither good nor bad, just moderate, and our married life had no particular problems until Chris severely injured his leg 6 months into our marriage, forcing him to take a long break from work. I quit my office job to support him and started working from home. Since Chris couldn't move around much due to his injury, he often shopped online, ordering various items. The delivery person, a young woman about my age wearing a cap, often came to our door. I, often receiving the parcels on Chris' behalf, became acquainted with Michelle, the delivery woman. We would chat occasionally, which was a welcome break from the isolation of working from home. However, as time passed, I began to notice a troubling change in Chris. Sorry, dear. Can you fold the laundry? I'm a bit tied up right now. I'm injured, you know? How can you ask me to do that? It's just the towels there. You can do it without moving, right? That's not the point. Don't you have any compassion? Chris, his face red with anger, shouted at me. The man I thought was earnest at work was just avoiding interaction with others. The real Chris was short-tempered and couldn't stand not getting his way. What's this food? It's terrible. Order takeout, get my phone. That's harsh. I made it while working. Your words are too cruel. Shut up. And there's dust everywhere. You can't even clean properly. His words were true, but that was because I had to take on more work to compensate for his absence, leaving little time for perfect housekeeping. Yet, Chris refused to help, constantly complaining while I was out for work meetings. If I returned home even slightly late, he would throw things at me as soon as I opened the door. You're late. Were you cheating? What are you saying? The meeting just ran long, and I did contact you, didn't I? Don't talk back. Didn't you love me? He would shout and raise his hand without any concern for our neighbors. I convinced myself that his insecurity from being left out of society due to his injury was the cause. That day, after finishing my work and cleaning the messy room, I cooked dinner, but Chris barely ate a bite, dismissing it as terrible. Exhausted, I went to bed late, but couldn't fall asleep easily. We used to share a bedroom, but by that time, we were sleeping separately. As I tossed and turned in bed, I thought I heard the front door close. I thought, is that him? I thought for a moment that Chris had gone out, but he hardly moved from the bed due to his leg pain, so it seemed unlikely. Dismissing it as my imagination, I fell asleep. A few days later, at a regular doctor's visit, I was told Chris' leg had fully healed. That's great. Now you can go back to work. Yeah, right. Despite the healing, Chris looked unhappy, which felt odd to me. Hey, when are you going back to work? After my leave period ends. I see. Doctors had confirmed his recovery, so he couldn't extend his leave. I thought it strange that he still didn't return to work, so I called a colleague from the company we both used to work at. There, I learned a shocking fact. What do you mean he quit without telling me? After ending the call with a colleague, I confronted Chris, who was lounging in bed. Instead of appearing uncomfortable, he was defiant. Your salary is enough, so it doesn't matter. I don't work because I want to. Quit nagging. I've been away from work for 6 months. It's hard to go back. Hearing his words, I couldn't say anything more, thinking that maybe this was his true feeling due to his dislike of social interactions. I believed his promise to look for work soon and left it at that. However, Chris didn't job hunt and started going out more. The sound of the door I heard that night wasn't my imagination. He had been sneaking out. But now, he would openly leave at night. When I confronted him about where he was always going and what he was doing, Chris became extremely angry. It's none of your business. Stop prying into everything. In a rage, he smashed the glass of the cupboard with a golf club nearby and then stormed back to his room. As I cleaned up the shattered glass on the floor, a deep sense of emptiness overwhelmed me. I thought, why is this happening to me? The Chris I loved is no longer here. One day, when I had some time during a work break, I was watching TV and enjoying a leisurely cup of coffee. Chris had unusually offered to prepare a bath, so I was waiting for that when the doorbell rang. I thought, is something being delivered today? Puzzled, I opened the door to find the usual delivery woman, Michelle, standing there with a pale face. Run away now. She grabbed my arm and pulled me out of the house, cautiously watching for Chris, who was in the bathroom, and then whispered to me, "Your husband is trying to harm you." What? Really? I couldn't believe my ears. After stepping outside quietly and closing the door, Michelle looked at me earnestly. He bought both chlorine and acid-based cleaners. He's definitely planning to harm you. Indeed, mixing those two creates harmful gas, but I thought it could be a coincidence that he bought them at the same time. However, it was strange that Chris, who never helped with housework, was suddenly cleaning the bath for me. Let's go to the police now. Surprised by her sudden suggestion, I was hesitant. That seems a bit much, just based on this. But then, Michelle revealed a shocking fact to me. Actually, last night, I overheard your husband walking with another woman, saying he would send you to the other world. What? You're joking. That's why I was worried and came here on my day off. Seeing him cleaning the bath, I got scared. Apologizing repeatedly, Michelle shared everything she knew. After hearing her out, I decided to go to the police. At the station, Michelle repeated her explanation, but we were dismissed with, "There's no actual harm done, you're overthinking it." No longer feeling safe at home, and with the police not an option, I realized I had to resolve this myself. Learning that Chris' nightly outings were to meet his mistress, my anger reached its peak. I thought, I absolutely won't lose here. Fearing for my life and enraged at the betrayal, I was determined. When I returned home, Chris, who had finished cleaning the bath, was waiting for me. "Where were you?" "I was surprised not to find you in the room." "Oh, sorry, just went shopping." "The bath is ready. Come in and relax." "Hurry up." After hearing Michelle's story, even his smiling face seemed sinister and frightening. "About that. I suddenly feel unwell. I can't take a bath now." "What? Really?" "I just went out to buy medicine. I'm going to lie down now." I quickly ended the conversation and went back to my room, ignoring Chris' persistent attempts to stop me. I thought, I managed this time, but who knows when he'll try to harm me again. To gather evidence and report Chris to the police, I searched the house whenever he wasn't watching. Finally, one day, I found something in his room. The next day, I was at a cafe with Michelle, who had given me her business card and asked me to contact her if anything happened. She deeply bowed her head as she sat down in front of me. Mrs. Manning, no, Tracy. I'm sorry, it's my brother. So, you were Chris' sister all along? Yes, my name is Michelle. I had suspected it since the surname on her card was the same as Chris. Plus, I hadn't noticed before because she always wore her hat low, but her eyes looked a lot like Chris. Michelle explained that she recognized her brother Chris the first time she delivered packages to our house. She had been careful not to let him realize who she was. Learning the real reason why she had run away from home left me shocked. I thought, if you hadn't noticed, I could have been in real danger. With Michelle's help, I was determined to foil Chris' plans against my life. The day finally came. As he lounged in the living room, happily browsing his phone, I confronted him. Enjoying your emails with your mistress? My cheerful smile made Chris visibly flustered. What? What are you talking about? That's just your imagination. Enough of that. I shrugged in exasperation and showed him a photo of him arm in arm with an unfamiliar woman. Instantly, his demeanor changed. He glared at me, snatched the photo, and tore it up. Where did you get this picture? Ignoring Chris's heavy breathing, I called the person who had been waiting outside the room into the living room. This person took the photo. Who the hell is this? Standing in front of a frowning Chris, the person slowly removed their cap. It's been a while, big brother. Michelle. Why are you here? I couldn't help but find it amusing to see my husband so utterly shocked. She's the delivery person who always brought packages to our house. Chris, who never imagined that the person he had met several times at the front door was his sister, was momentarily lost for words. However, he quickly started berating her. She did terrible things to me and our parents before running away from home. Throw her out. What are you talking about? It wasn't your sister who did those things, it was you, right? In sync with my words, Michelle rolled up her sleeve to reveal her arm. There, deep scars and bruises were painfully visible. I heard everything from her. When I met Michelle at the cafe earlier, she had revealed her painful past. Chris was a cruel person, always trying to eliminate anything unnecessary. Since childhood, he had harmed Michelle to monopolize their parents' love. Listening to my story, Chris' complexion grew increasingly worse. Michelle confronted him with determination. When I was in the bath, you almost sent me to the other world, and neither Dad nor Mom believed me. That's why I left that house. What are you talking about? You mixed 2 types of cleaners and then forced me into the bath right after you cleaned it. What are you saying? There's no proof. To his feigned ignorance, I brought the once-used cleaners from the bathroom and confronted him. You recently bought these 2 cleaners, right? Were you planning to send me to the other world using the same method you tried with Michelle? I just bought the cleaners to help you. Oh, really? Then what's this? Frustrated with his continual denial, I slammed a note on the table. It had been hidden in a drawer of his desk, as if he was trying to conceal it. For me, who was looking for evidence that my life was in danger, this note was perfect. The note outlined plans to send me to the other world. The first method listed was using 2 types of cleaners, but it was crossed out and erased, indicating an unsuccessful attempt. So, were you planning to try the next method listed below? Is everything ready for it? If I search your room, will I find something? No, it's not like that. That note was just a joke. Well, we'll find out soon if it's a joke or not. As I started heading towards his room, he desperately tried to stop me. It seemed he really had something incriminating hidden. Wait. You're alive, aren't you? That's enough. I won't try anything like that again. Please, let me off. Sorry, but I can't do that. The police won't let this slide. Huh? To his dumbfounded reaction, I showed him my phone, which had been recording the entire conversation. Everything we've talked about is recorded here as evidence. I don't want to get arrested. Please help me. You've gone too far to turn back now. The moment I spoke coldly, Chris lunged at me with a terrifying look. Tracy, watch out. Michelle quickly jumped in between us, grabbing Chris' arm and pinning him to the floor in an instant. She had learned self-defense after running away from home due to the terrible things Chris did to her when they were children. Who would have thought this would come in handy like this? Big brother. I was wrong. Please, forgive me. Pinned down by his sister, Chris struggled helplessly, begging pitifully for forgiveness. You'll have to explain everything to the police now. I called 911 right there and then, and 10 minutes later, the police arrived and took Chris away. After that, I divorced him and demanded $15,000 in damages from both him and his mistress. They both paid up in full. Although they escaped jail time, they were arrested for planning to take my life and became convicts. Apparently, to pay the damages to me, they borrowed money from shady lenders and are now running from fearsome debt collectors. As for me, I decided to travel alone, using the savings I had accumulated from my limited income. Michelle saw me off as I embarked on a journey into a free and unbound world.